I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.
I guess now he don't froze up because this is funny. He'll be in a second. Y'all just bear with us. We want to go through our usual routine. There you go, right on time. What's up, everybody? I'm Fool.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Main One, and we're Unplug Free Your Mind, a show where we discuss and share our perspectives on an array of topics in world news from an unfiltered, unbiased, and unplugged point of view. Nah, I was waiting on you to sit because I was just gonna log in. But I guess you were froze. You didn't get a chance to hear me, but it's all good.
I heard you.
No, he fixed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I want to switch it up tonight. Jay, tell us what's going on real quick while I'm sharing and doing what I got to do. Now go into my story. Tell y'all what happened to me today.
You want to start with this? Okay, I can do that. Jay, what you say? I think I have a new title for that. You remember? I don't know if you guys remember, those of you who's been like tuning into us for the past few years, but it was news nobody could use.
No. That's at the end. No. You're
saying what's going on with me?
Yeah. We good.
Not much going on with me. I thought we were getting right into it. I had a couple of shows over the weekend. I've had some shows since now. Everyone knows I moved down to Florida, and I've been sort of all over the place in Florida, really enjoying it. But this particular weekend, the past few weekends, I've been right here in my home area, the Tampa area. So it's been good stuff. I've been learning a lot and doing a lot. What, Jermaine? What?
Kid Gravity got jokes in the comments already.
Oh, I'm not even looking at the comments. You know what? I'm gonna keep going because I don't need to be distracted.
Yeah.
But it's been really good. It's been really nice. I've been enjoying the weather. Went out to the pool. Been out to the beach. It's just been nice here. It's total difference from being in New York this time of year. As a matter of fact, a little weird because I wasn't getting out when I should have been getting out of the house. You sort of have that that New York in the house mentality during the months of November, December, January, February, and March. And I wasn't doing much, but I did venture out, and it was a good weekend for me. That's all I can say. It was great. What's going on with you, Main One?
Nothing.
You sound like my man from Rally Unscripted show. Oh my God, his name is on the tip of my tongue. He'd be like, "How your week been going?" Terrible. That's it. Let me tell y'all what happened earlier, and then we can get back to start this goddamn show.
Okay.
As y'all know, I've been going hard on TikTok to build up the numbers and everything like that. So somebody hit me up. I'm not gonna say the name, and he was going in. I shouldn't make sure I don't donate to any campaigns and this, that, whatever, blah, blah. I said, yo, my man, just call me. So he calls me today.
On the phone?
On the phone. I said, call me so we can go ahead. It don't need to have no messages. That shit is unnecessary. Older dude. I think he lives in Delaware. He created a product or whatever. I'm doing my best to keep it kind of broad because I want people to know who he is. Yeah. As I'm driving home to get ready I want to do my push-ups and stuff before I started the show. He said something. We talked illegal immigrants got brought up. I said, in reference to them getting $9,000 a month, and it's not fair because we got people over here struggling. This man said he's cool with that.
I'm a little lost. $9,000 for
all these immigrants that you see coming up, they get 9 G's a month, all of them, each. I'm gonna say it again, each.
Okay.
Now, when I said this, he said he was cool with that. I said, hold on, let me get something straight. You're telling me you're cool with illegal immigrants getting 9 G's a month, and we got people in this country that they don't have food on their table, they're homeless, they're unemployed, He said he's fine with it. I said, yo, my man, listen, I will gladly buy your product when I get some extra dough. But this conversation is ended. Because there is no way I can have a conversation with you because your frequency is way down bottom. Your morals and ethics are fucked up. I'm good.
I wouldn't buy his product.
No.
I was going to say, well, first of all, I know you don't want to say what the product is, but I'm curious, what is it?
No, it's something practical. It's cool. But the point is, you're so delusional in reference to politics. You're letting that cloud your judgment as a human. He wanted to bring up, well, you know, black people. I said, this ain't got shit to do with black people. If it's Americans here that ain't got shit and that's fucked up. I was like, yo, fam, I'm straight. We ain't never got it. I don't ever want to talk to that dude again. And I say that because being around people like that shit is dangerous. It's dangerous just on the physical side. And when you start talking about energy, I don't want that shit around me because you never know what's going to come back on me. I'm straight. How the fuck could you say some shit? And he's 79 years old. This dude, talk about, I've seen so much and this, that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what the hell does that do with what we're talking about? They ain't got shit to do with what we're talking about. But first, let me say this. For everybody, if you're tuning in on TikTok, if you actually want to watch the podcast, go to Unplugged Free Your Mind or Unplugged FYM on YouTube so you can actually watch because we get ready bringing the guests right now. So I got lucky enough to reach out to Dr. Christina Parks. I got very, very lucky. And the thing was, I found out, you know, through my little digging and somehow shit came out. If y'all don't know, no, you know what? I'm gonna let her tell it because she can break everything down. I don't even want to miscue anything. First off, I will say this before I actually bring her to start talking. Dr. Christina Parks is a goddamn gangster. She's a straight gangster. She don't give a damn. She don't went in front of in front of talking to people in court and stuff like that. She's going to tell you exactly what it is, and that's what I love about it because you can't halt wisdom and knowledge. You just can't, even though they attempt to silence you. Now, Dr. Parks, I will tell you this. I posted one of your videos. You was talking about something with the not the intestines, the bacteria in your stomach. It was one of them videos you made. I put it on TikTok. They immediately gave me a strike today. I'm talking about it was less than an hour. I was like, she's a damn doctor talking some real shit, but whatever. It was misinformation and all this, but it's all good. It don't matter.
So, on TikTok, I thought that was uncensored.
Nah, oh no.
No? Oh, it just depends on the topic, huh?
There you go. Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm glad you kind of it's the perfect segue because I brought you, or we wanted to bring you on because we wanted you to inform our listeners about what's going on with this Supreme Court case, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people, they have no idea, obviously, with all the distractions that we have. So with that being said, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I was just at the Supreme Court last Monday. I was just thinking, oh my gosh, it's only been a week. You know, it was a very busy week because they were deliberating on it. So here's what happened. Basically, we know that social media platforms have been censoring hard. In fact, nobody knew who I was. Like, I was doing talks in West Michigan. I was talking at rallies. And if you did, just on your live streamed it, they would ding your account. I never posted any of my own stuff because otherwise I'd lose my account. And so even before anyone knew who I was, you couldn't upload a video to YouTube with my name on it. Think about that for a minute. So that means the FBI or somebody's following me and following my accounts or whatever. So in any case, what happened was finally the state of Missouri and a couple of other states and a bunch of different plaintiffs sued the government. And because it went through the state of Missouri, a Missouri judge allowed them to have discovery. What discovery means is you can start FOIAing the government. You can start finding out information. And when they went to find out information, what they found out, and I gave the lawsuit to Brother Reza because he's called out in it as part of the disinformation dozen. What they found out was that the government held meetings with all these social media companies and basically said, especially with specific people, you will pull their platform. You will knock them off of social media. And there's these like emails going back and forth between the Biden administration, the CDC, the Surgeon General, and the FBI and the social media platforms, where they say something like, we need you to, basically take these people off or take this post down. And the social media company will be like, it doesn't violate our content. It doesn't violate our things. And the government says, you will do it or we'll change the law and hack you off at the knees. And other times they'd be like, what the disinformation does. And they're like, what is this? I thought you were going to shut down the disinformation doesn't. I don't call that shut down. They're just like they're swearing and everything, at these social media companies. And the CDC actually, they finally started having like weekly meetings with these social media companies. And the CDC would basically lay out all these things and say, no matter what it was, whether it was from a lab or, whatever it was, they say this is false and this is false and this is false. Just categorically like name, 10 things that are false this week. And then that meant that Facebook had to pull all content that mentioned that. And so they just became an arbiter of truth. And there's no way they could have known if all those things were true or false. They just sort of arbitrarily decided they were all false so that Facebook would censor them. So this was all found in the discovery, and it went before a court, I believe in Missouri. And the judge ruled that that they were likely to get an injunction. So an injunction is where the court says, because the data, the findings are so much in your favor, we're going to go ahead. And in this case, they would tell the social media companies, you can't censor these people anymore. Right? So they were trying to get an injunction, but the judge stopped short of giving them the injunction because it went to the appeals court. So, but the judge excoriated, especially the Biden administration, and basically said, this is the clearest case of infringement of our First Amendment rights that's ever happened in the history of our country. Okay, because it was coercion, especially with the Biden administration, absolute coercion by the federal government onto the social media platforms. And so then they appealed it. And so what was being deliberated on Monday was the appeal from the administrations and all these government officials before the Supreme Court to see whether the injunction was able to be done for them to tell the social media platforms, stop censoring people. And so those arguments are still being heard. However, the case itself, I guess, likely won't be heard for a couple of years, because it takes forever for these kind of things, right? However, I guess it wasn't really good in terms of some of the judges were like, well, we don't want to hamstring the government. And they're like, that's the whole point of the First Amendment is to tell the government what they can't do. So that's where it stands right now. And if they do not rule correctly on this, that means they can basically censor us, because it started with medical freedom, but it's going to go to every area. Pretty soon they'll be censoring their political opponents, and nobody will be able to do anything about it.
Doing it already.
Yeah, they were definitely doing a 2020 election, and so I believe they're doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
That right there, it speaks volumes. And honestly, based on something that you said that I caught, that's probably the reason why they gave RZA back a lot of his platforms, based on what you said, because they had to. They couldn't stop doing it anymore.
Well, I give back, like Twitter maybe, but give back is a I wouldn't say they gave them back. I mean, he started a new Instagram page. They let, because we're not right in the middle of it, I think they sort of are letting things slide more. But it depends on, you still have to be careful about what you post. But like Facebook, YouTube, he tried to pull up a new YouTube channel without his name, without, whatever. Mm-mm.
Oh, if you want to hear something, our interview that we did with RZA, how can I say this? Our original page got terminated because of obvious reasons on YouTube. So we started a new one. When we got it back, we immediately shared our interview with RZA. And they deleted that shit. I'm talking about, they deleted it immediately.
If you want to see something, go on Rumble. You know what Rumble is?
Oh, yeah.
Go on Rumble and just search for my name. you'll get like 7 or 8 pages worth of content. Then go on YouTube and search for my name. You might come up with 3, maybe, and I'm even surprised those are there. You know, and one of them is because people like that one where I went viral from, like they were translating that into like Russian, and like so people just kept re-uploading that to YouTube. So that one, you know, you can find occasionally, but I mean, so it's really, really, you know, and I've launched a website for recovery. It's really hard to market something when you're being censored, you know, so I got really discouraged. And then I was just like, you know, it's God's work. I just gotta, you know, keep plugging along and see what he'll do.
Since you said that, please send me the information, because I have a little traction on TikTok right now, and I'll put it out there because you know you never know.
I did. I sent you my slides, and I don't know if I have a like. There's a video, and I can send you a video as well. I'll send you a link to a video so that you know that just kind of describes the website, and I'll send you a couple of slides and a QR code.
Okay.
Dr. Christina, Jay and I, we were going through the actual bill, and you know, just seeing who sponsored the bill and stuff like that. Have you had a chance? Well, I'm sure you have. What kind of things are in there besides just this TikTok stuff? Because I'm sure it's other things that they are.
Okay, so now we're not talking about the court case. We're talking about the TikTok bill.
No, we're talking about HR 21.
HR 7521.
7521. Sorry.
So aren't they are they correlated or no?
No. The court case is a court case. So, and then the bill is, you know, legislation. So I was actually just watching a video on the TikTok issue, and I don't know what's all in the whole bill. It was just on that aspect of it, and it specifically calls out TikTok, and then it has a bunch of other rules that would apply to companies, but it doesn't look like it's really going to hit anybody except for TikTok. Because you have to have over 1 million viewers. They have to be able to produce social media content. So there's all of these rules that really are going to narrow it down to something that's going to be like Facebook or TikTok or whatever. So I don't think that's the issue. The issue is, like, some people are saying that that it's really not about, like, the Chinese already have all our information, that it's really about censorship again, that they want to be able to censor TikTok. And not allow content that's being allowed on there right now.
Did you happen to watch that interview with Rand Paul when he broke it down? I think it was him and Tucker Carlson, and he broke it down.
I did not. I was watching Aaron Siri, and I watched several actually different ones, but not that one.
As a matter of fact, Jermaine, if you can you see if you can pull that up with Rand Paul talking about the real reason? Because I mean, even if the viewers haven't seen it, this would be perfect. Even with the reaction that she's going to get. It should be Rand Paul TikTok ban or something like that. And it should come up as him. And I can't remember who's on the other side of the screen. I think it's Tucker Carlson. I think so. But he broke it down of exactly the reason why that they're banning it, which I appreciate him too, because at least he's transparent. That's what I keep stressing on, even on TikTok, is like,
well, you know, essentially, isn't it about us, you know, about the company sending data, you know, our personal data?
Well, some people are saying it's about data, but like, are they not getting our data through other methods? I mean, I just have a hard time. Like, I'm like still trying to like figure out all my password stuff, because like social media, Facebook was down the other day, like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And like, and then my thing came up that 14 of my passwords were compromised. So that was, you know, that was a hacking. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Facebook being down. It was a major cyber attack, right? And so like these things are happening all the time. And like, how many times are things been compromised or whatever, you know, or our data mined, you know? So some people think it's about the Israel-Palestine thing, that's really hot on TikTok, and they're trying to censor that. So, you know, I mean, I guess it all depends on your perspective, right? But it isn't really interesting that Congress promoted it, passed it with overwhelming support. Like, when do we ever have overwhelming support for anything?
Mm-hmm.
It was 50-0.
Yeah. And, you know, you can't get overwhelming for support. Something for our children's health, you can't even get overwhelming support.
And that's what kind of cool. Because somebody was saying it can't be about our our privacy and things like that because, or selling our information because Google does it, Facebook does it, Instagram, everybody does
yeah,
it.
I just can't. At some point, you're just like, they've got it. Like, you know, I just have to trust God that I can even, like, we can even manage our bank accounts and like everything, you know, because it's just like,
yes,
you can't juggle all this stuff. Like you know, you're not a millionaire that you have people that can like, you know, keep following up on stuff.
And that's one of the things. And anytime we download anything to our phone, the first thing that you will agree to is the end user agreement, where
which nobody reads because it's so onerous.
Is this the one with him and Rand Paul?
Is really what people care about right now.
So what is this about? Well, it's not about China. It may be about other foreign countries. It's definitely not about China because pay no attention to what they say. Watch carefully what they do. Rand Paul of Kentucky, who's of course a sitting United States senator, seems to be one of the very few in Washington who's watching what they do, not what they say. And so he is opposing this effort to ban a social media app, not because he is a tool of China, though of course they're doubtless calling him that now, but because he is a dot connector from way back. And we are honored to have him join us now. Senator, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
I'll go ahead and presume to speak for you too. I don't think most people are really that in favor of TikTok or the Chinese government. I assume you're not. I'm definitely not. But Republican leaders seem to believe two things that contradict one another. One, they believe that on some evidence that Joe Biden is like kind of controlled by China and that Joe Biden is pushing transgenderism. And yet, and that is true, but they're aligning with Joe Biden, who is suddenly claiming that TikTok is bad because it's too Chinese and it's pouring filth into the minds of our children. Now, he can't be sincere about that, obviously. So why would they be joining him in this? Do you have any idea?
You know, my concern has always been with the centralization of power, with giving up power. I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat president.
Amen.
I don't want any president to have the power to ban apps that are sold on an app store. And that's essentially what this is going to happen. 180 million Americans put dance videos up and whatever else is on TikTok, and they choose the terms of those services the same way people on Facebook do. And does Facebook scrape your data? Sure. Does Google scrape your data? Do all of these giant tech companies scrape your data? They all take your data. But the thing is there are now accusations. They say, oh, TikTok's owned by the Chinese government. The Chinese communists own it. Well, that's not even true. You can't say stuff just over and over again that's not true. TikTok is owned by about 60% of it's owned by international investors from all over the world. 20% is owned by the two Chinese software engineers that created the app. And 20% is owned by the employees of TikTok, which 7,000 of them are Americans. So there's a significant nexus of Americans in the ownership. And then there's a significant nexus of Americans using this. And they say, oh, well, the Chinese government owns it. It's just frankly not true. Now, the company that owns TikTok also owns something like TikTok that is censored, and the Chinese let that be broadcast throughout China. The Chinese government does have a member of the board. It's called Douyin. It's the Chinese TikTok, but they don't have a member of the board of BiteDance. They don't control BiteDance, and the data is now kept in Oracle Cloud, centered in Texas. And this has been done because the company wants to try to exist. It's a very popular app. It has a great deal of value, so they're doing anything they can to comply. And yet the hysterics in the House are just shut them down, communism this, communism that. Look, I've written 2 books about Chinese communism and what it does both during the COVID leak and also what it did during Mao's reign. So I am no fan of Chinese communism, but at the same time, we can't sort of like, emulate the Chinese to try to protect our way of life, becoming like the Chinese and banning things.
So I'd like to elaborate on that, what he was saying in terms of, you're muted, Maine, in terms of the BiteDance. So BiteDance is a subsidiary company of, the whole umbrella, like what me and Maine was talking about earlier. So 60% is owned by global institutional investors, which technically can be anywhere when you use the word global. 20% is by the founder, and the other 20% is by employees. They have 2 main locations for TikTok. BiteDance is TikTok. That's in Singapore and in LA. They have 5 board members. 3 members are American. So when you get into the conversation of, is this owned by China primarily? I can't question that it is or it isn't. I don't know. 60% of institutional global investors could be anyone, could be. But global puts that on a different spectrum for me, which means it's not primarily China.
I want to throw something in there when you mentioned about the 60% in global. The first thing pops in my mind is hedge funds. That's the first thing that pops in my mind, because
it's a company.
hedge funds, their money is so deep or whatever that you can't stop that type of money. Plus, what they're saying is, as far as with this app, because the same people who are controlling Facebook, Instagram, this, that, whatever, since they don't have that type of control, then that's what they don't like. But my thing about it is, what's the problem? They still censoring shit. It don't change nothing. That doesn't change. It's not like you can say, it's not like Rumble, it's not like Telegram or whatever. You can say whatever. You still can get flagged and get strikes and things like that.
But I think it's bigger than that. I think it's all it is misleading the American people. So we can put a title on any video. I tried to explain this to somebody the other day. I could put a title on anything, but because most people will only read the headline, that's all they'll do. So if I just say, oh, well, China bad or Trump bad or whatever the case may be, if that's all you're gonna read, then that's all you're gonna take from it. You know what I'm saying? So all it is fear mongering. So you're trying to fear monger us just like you did with C-19. You're trying to fear monger us with China. So I think that's what a lot of it is when he says, "Oh, it's China's gonna steal you and they own this company and all this stuff." And it's not true. It's just not true.
That's what I was about to say. I think what the concern here is where data is going. It's the internet. Data can go anywhere. The fear is data is being sent to China, whatever type of data.
Is it really? Is that really the fear, or is it the fear that this is a platform that they don't control?
Right.
Exactly.
And there you go.
Because it seems like you could make some rules about the data mining, or do you know what I mean? Or have some, it seems like there are other ways to address that problem than banning the entire platform.
But the fact that they do not have control over that, and I'm happy you use the word data mining, that in itself is an entire profession if you get into it. Data mining. They have no control over that. There is no way to say, hey, we can control Facebook and we can control YouTube and all of those entities, but you can't control it.
But that's not. But that's not. But we know that's not how they. We know that
you were in and out, but we got you.
But we know that's not how the government how the government reacts to something that they deem is a problem. Because okay, let's just say, and quote unquote allegedly, there's a scientist on a particular plane, and we don't know if he's gonna make it there or not. So we just take out the whole fucking plane. And everything else is collateral damage. So let's just take out the whole app or whatever the case may be, if that's what they're, which I don't think it's not
right.
About
if it's about data mining, but the thing is, Biden cares about our data, the person who rigged, the election or whatever. I mean, I don't know if he did or not, but really we're there was all these allegations of Chinese interference, So it's just,
again, I'm with you, Dr. Parks, when you said I think it's about what they cannot control, and they have to figure out ways to do that.
I mean, for me, when I go on TikTok, I mean, obviously, I'm doing what I'm doing to help our brand and everything like that right now. But when I see some of those videos on TikTok, and I see the connection of people, it's like as soon as there's a possibility of people coming together, that's a problem. And that app is so powerful because we have the access of seeing things in real time. That's what they don't like. Because as soon as something happens, if they want to talk about whatever's going on in another country, we're getting videos from people in other countries showing us, nah, that's not true. That's really not true. And they don't like that. And it's a constant thing. which to me is crazy because on one end it could help you, but what I have noticed is it's like, what gives the government the right to choose how we feel about what's going on? You're always protecting us when we don't need protecting. You're talking about like who, even though we've all had issues with our information being stolen or whatever the case may be. When have we actually went to the government and said, y'all got to do something about this? It's like they always have to step in.
That's right.
And play Superman like we have the issue. No, y'all bugging because we're not asking for your help.
Yeah.
It's like you want to jump in front of the problem before it happens or whatever. Y'all ain't did that.
Yeah,
shit
because
before.
they're like jumping on top of this, the fact that they've gotten everybody's DNA through 23andMe, and like that's all going to the Chinese and stuff too. Like they care about that. Like, you know, they're all getting our genetic information. They don't care about that. So that's why I think it's really a censorship. They can be the only ones that censor, right? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
See, even with, and maybe y'all can tell me if I'm wrong or not, because especially with you two, because you're IT, and hell, we got a doctor on. I have never heard the words disinformation or misinformation before 4 years ago. Ever. I've never heard that used the way that it's like they immediately start pushing that over and over and over again, and people believe this shit. Like, oh, and excuse me, and also fact checkers. Get the fuck out of here. How you going to fact
because they have more education than I do. Like they're telling me that my stuff is false. Like, right? Like I'm like,
I said that in the beginning. I mean, when all this stuff happened, I used to say all the time. I said it just boggles my mind. I said, okay, this person went to medical school and did clinicals and all this stuff for 10, 12, however many years. So what makes their degree less than this person's degree because they're
yeah,
on TV?
somebody's on welfare that happened to get a job as a fact checker.
Right.
I mean, like, well, I Googled it and then like it said, and the CDC said.
I see the government as my man. I don't know if Dr. Parks, if you've ever seen the movie Belly,
No, I don't think I have.
but our audience will understand the reference. The guy with the banana, that's the government. He's a hater of everybody trying to do stuff on their own.
And
Mhm.
Dr. Parks, the dude's glasses were like this thick. It's a funny scene in the movie. I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's, I mean, it's amazing to me that people fall for this. Because even when I'm making my videos on TikTok, I tell them that there's certain subject matter that goes on that everybody on TikTok should be for. Like we got to stop the political ideologies and separation, because there's certain points or certain issues we got to stand pride on. We have to stand together on. This is one of them. Remember, when 9/11 happened, our privacy was gone. Then 4 years ago, something happened and they took our medical privacy away.
I know, and they're worried about the communists.
Yeah, and this is
we're what?
this
A totalitarian government?
But
You know,
people,
and that's where the link is between that court case where we have no free speech rights anymore and, you know, this TikTok thing, which is probably the same thing. It's just one more way that they're going to take our free speech.
Mhm.
I mean, and think about how they go up now. They're going after our last bit of free speech or whatever, or hearing it is comedians. Now they're going after comedians. It's like
Yeah.
they
go after the comedians, you know it's over because that's the last.
They're sort of low on the totem pole,
Well,
but I get it.
mean, they're kind of like a steam outlet. So they let the comedians do it, but you know, because they're not serious and they don't have any credentials. And so
Well,
like the
that's
court
what I'm saying.
jester.
Like they're kind of low on the totem pole. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're not like any
Yeah, they have no
real
credentials,
bad, but
right?
you have following. So if you have a following and they are vocal, you know, in their opinions, then yeah, that could be a threat as well. So I can see it.
And that's where it is right now, because as soon as you have influence, they coming after you. Period.
And the thing is, they're still censoring because, like, we're showing them that they were wrong. So now we've finally been doing some of the science to show them that they're wrong. And they, you know, now everyone's going to lose trust in the government. And so, you know, it's like once you start censoring, you just have to continue and continue and continue being heavy-handed, because it's like, oh, well, now we can't let them know that we were wrong. And then, you know, now because they were wrong, there's going to be all these court cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
because, like the data that I knew about this technology is 20 years old. We knew about those problems back way when. This was not new, and they knew about it from their clinical trials that they tried to hold for 55 or 75 years or whatever it was. So now, I was an expert witness for zinc for Eric Naputi, and I was eventually disqualified, which I met all the qualifications, so that was pretty sketchy as it was. But in any case, I went to the NIH website. The court case was over like a year and a half. And I went to the NIH website to get some material off of it that I had already been. I just thought, oh, I'll just copy and paste it instead of retyping it. They had scrubbed all of the information on zinc in the immune system off of the official NIH website on the government site.
Wow.
And I'm like, I have all the links to the original papers, so I can just cite those. But now they're pulling actual scientific papers. They're retracting them for no reason. And before, when they retracted a paper, they would leave it up so you could see it, but they just put retracted, and then they would have a note as to why. Now they're pulling the whole paper down so you can't read it at all.
It's making me think about, if I remember the name right of the movie, was like Fahrenheit 54.
Right, 451, yeah. Or even 1984. Like the nice, if you've read 1984, what they do is they go back and rewrite history and like burn all of the things that have any evidence that it was ever otherwise. And people see, the thing is, it's so complicated to try to, I know a lot of conservatives, and then, I know quite a few people in the Black population. So I know a lot of different demographics. And the truth is, we are all getting different media. We are getting different news. And so I always try to be really respectful when I talk to someone, because I'm like, I want to hear your point of view, because depending on what you watch, and now it's even alternative media too, right? Everyone is getting, even with the alternative media, everybody's getting a different story. And I think a lot of that is intentional. There's like plants in these different communities to try to make it as divisive as possible, the whole divide and conquer type of thing. Now, some of it is just like different people have a different perspective, and you're going to gravitate towards that. But I think there are definitely plants to try to make the different points of view divisive to one another, right? And so so we really have to consider that whenever, people want to start fighting, and then like people don't have time or energy to look all this stuff up. When you try to, you realize that's why you're having this. It's a lot. Like, bring somebody on who knows this, right? I read the entire court case, right? Well, like nobody does that.
But that's what Main One was saying. People see the headlines and they just go with what they see. There's no real, doing any research on your own, or any, trying to fact check stuff yourself.
Well, and the thing is about, when all of this started, all of the data, I remember the first time I gave a 20-minute talk, and it was about the history of the virus and all of this kind of thing, and whether it was from a lab and all that. And I was showing, like, I put a screenshot of peer-reviewed scientific literature, right, from the lab of Xi Lee and Ralph Barrick at UNC that have been doing this research for 20 years, and or at least 10, but and it was hiding in plain sight. Any science editor from Fox or whoever could have gone and found this. And so everybody was like, when I finished, everyone was stunned, and it was like dead silence. And then everybody like gave it a standing ovation, because like they knew something was wrong in their gut, but they didn't have any idea where to find the information. I'm like, it's publicly accessible through PubMed, but you have to know what you're looking for, And so they trust that, and that even if you find it, you're not gonna be able to read it to know what it says. I mean, really, I studied for 12 years to know that. It's not trivial, right? Like, this stuff is complicated. And so, like, with the plasmid contamination, some of the most complicated science ever, and I'm trying to oversimplify it so people can understand, but they're counting on the fact that nobody's going to understand it in order to promulgate it.
Something that I found, and I'm pretty sure y'all probably know. Well, I know Jermaine knows about it. I'm pretty sure Doc knows about it. Was the fact that Barack Obama, I think that he stopped the Smith-Month Act or something like that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it allows the United States to give propaganda to the country. The way it was set at first, we couldn't do that. In other countries, it was fine. But in 2012, actually it was 2012 or 2013, one or the other, he lifted that.
Well, I think it was like we can do it. They can do it. Our government can do it to us.
Yeah,
That's like run psychological operations on us. So like they've changed a lot of these laws, and like I don't really follow all of that because I'm like busy enough just trying to follow the science. I'm like, let me just talk about this. But like when you start delving deep into this, it's pretty scary what they can do. And one of the things I think that we'll find, and there's a lot of evidence of, is that whole thing is a government operation run by the Department of Defense. So for instance, Pfizer is a subcontractor. So they will never be held liable because it's the US government that actually made those decisions and holds the reins.
I mean, it's crazy to me because we can have conversations like this to understand exactly what's going on. But then when you have sensible conversations with people to let them know this is what it is, it's like they can't accept it. I understand I always said cognitive dissonance is the real pandemic. That right there,
because people don't want their lives to change.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
We can't hear you.
And when I go on and talk about the science, I'm just doing it from a scientific perspective. I'm saying this science shows how nefarious this is. Like the plasmid contamination, they show that you read the genetic information one way and it makes a protein. Well, they engineered it. Like this is complex computer programming to come up with a sequence that would make this work, at the highest level. They made it so it would read it backwards and make another protein that forms like a spider silk type of protein that will form blood clots. The level of engineering in that is like top level. Like it's so complicated, and so I'm giving you a really, really I could go through with the scientists if they knew it, that, and tell them exactly what was done, but none of y'all are going to understand that. Right. So that it proves nefarious intent. And the fact is Moderna made sure that didn't happen with theirs. They actually took, one, you have to engineer it to make it happen. It's like if you read a sentence backwards, it would be garbage. So you would have to get a computer program to get a sentence that would read forward and backwards, right? And usually when you read something backwards with genetic material, you have these stop codons just randomly, because it's garbage, you're reading backwards. And so you might end up with 20 or 25 stop codons you can't read because it keeps stopping. Well, they engineered all of those out. So there's nothing that makes it stop. It continues to read all the way through. And Moderna changed the enzyme that reads it to make sure that it can't read backwards, even if it wanted to. So like it tells you that they know what they're doing. And with the Pfizer vaccine, sorry.
Oh, good. Yeah, you caught it.
Maybe they won't catch it. They're not as bad as they've been, but they're just, it's intentional. And it just is, it's like the worst dystopian novel. And you're like, I can't even believe this is real.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, we know what goes on and we see it and things like that. But even when I go outside now, to see those lines in the sky, I'm not going to say the name, anything like that. It's so prevalent now.
Yes.
That it's scary. And what we have to understand is it's not just one thing. It's a chain of events that keep on happening. That's going to end up being like the domino is going to end up being tipped over. You have the fact that our food is poison. You have the fact that medication that people are allegedly taking is poison. You have what people did 4 years ago, which is also poison. You have what they putting in the sky, which is poison. Our water and everything plays into something. Then when you start throwing in stress, it starts to change the dynamic also.
Well, I can't tell you how many women are going through premature menopause. Like people think like 42 is like, well, I'm 42. I'm like, no, it's dysregulation. You may be having problems hormonally, but that's dysregulation. That should not be happening. And so that's why I actually founded, my alliance, and my website is to help people understand what these issues are. One of the things that you'll find on the free pages, the front pages, is all of the information about all of those things, both for children and for what we were talking about, but also the mechanism by which they injure. And then you know, behind a very small paywall are all of this information on how to recover your health and how to understand like what's wrong with me,
Yeah.
you know? And so because I'm like, you know, like I was having trouble, you know, marketing my website because I'm so censored, you know? And then I was like, you know, that's the thing, you know, this isn't going away. This type of health issues and all this, there's going to be a demand and a market for this information. And it's just a matter, it might have to grow slower than I thought of getting the information out to people. And because, you know, you can't go anywhere, you know, I mean, you strike up a conversation with someone on a plane, they've got an autoimmune disorder, you know, and, you know, and like, because I know, you know, when somebody says something like, for instance, my neighbor who they took it, he just died of a heart attack. His brother died of a heart attack a week before. The daughter is sitting there and came to visit mom, whose husband died. And her hands were all cracked and scaly. And oh, it looks so painful. And I am a consultant for a supplement that reduces inflammation and, you know, can help with autoimmune. I said, is that autoimmune? And she's like, yes. She's like, and it's gotten worse because of stress. I'm like, let me go get you a bottle of my supplement here. Just take it, you know, have the $60 supplement. It looks so painful. I mean, it's just everywhere you go. Like, you know, so the family's dying of what they took. And now I don't know if she took it or not, but she's got horrible autoimmune issues. And I'm just, it's so overwhelming sometimes.
I want to ask you a question because you're a doctor, even though I already know the answer. But is it normal for a person in their 70s to all of a sudden get lupus?
No, in fact, like
Okay.
I have
All right.
yeah, so that's autoimmune. Lupus is autoimmune. And I actually have been doing a lot of talking on different you know, in doctors meetings too, about a model that I have that is about how dysregulating your immune system, and that's what those do. And even the illness itself can do that. But dysregulating your immune system is leading to autoimmunity and cancer. And so on my website, I have some slides under the mechanism parts that show kind of what's happening. But I also have some videos that I've been doing, and I'm going to try to, like, you know, cut them into like a little bite-sized 2 to 5 minute little chunks so that people can understand it. But basically, I have an idea. So I think what's happening with this autoimmunity is when you hyperstimulate the immune system, and it can be from too much aluminum, too much of whatever they're spraying in the skies, like toxins or whatever. It can be from many different things. When you dysregulate the immune system past a certain point, your T cells, which do two things, they destroy pathogens and infected cells, and they destroy cancer cells. Your T cells don't work anymore. So one, you're going to get every disease that comes along, and you're probably going to get cancer. And two, when you continue to stimulate the immune system, you know, using different methods, then you actually are pushed into an autoimmune response. And so it really, there's so much autoimmune disease now that it's going to be like, it's the next major epidemic. And you go to your doctor and they have no clue. And so I know that the information I have is going to be really important for people because their doctors aren't really helping them. They're just giving them all these drugs like the big HCQ word, like used to treat autoimmune disease, but we can't even say it now because, you know, and then the brand name is Plaquenil. So,
I mean, it's crazy to me because it's obvious, but I think a lot of people's pride won't allow them to admit that honestly they fucked up. But when you start seeing it, because something that I said, and I'm pretty sure you old school too, I was always raised that death comes in threes. And I said, with what we're dealing with now, death is going to start coming in 13s, 23s, and 33s. And people have to deal with that. Everybody deals with death differently. But when you start talking about that much death,
the amount of death is astronomical. I mean, they're hiding it, but I talk to people all the time, and most people have 2, 3, 4 people in their family that have died in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And not of the infection.
And young. And
and many of them are young. And many of them like 50-year-olds having heart attacks. And I mean, you just like you just never seen so much death all at once. To the point where you kind of almost have to shut it out.
I want to throw something out there to you because you already know numbers like this. They always say that heart disease is the #1 killer in America. They always said that. In my personal opinion, part of the plan was to make sure that was a side effect. So they always just say, "Oh, that's just normal. It's always been the #1 killer or whatever." That way, they would never attribute that to it because they would say the numbers have always been high. That's just
right.
my.
Well, I think that they knew that this was extremely inflammatory, so it was going to really exacerbate whatever was wrong with you anyway, whether that was diabetes or whether that was heart disease. So there would be enough differences in how people, died or got ill that you wouldn't really see it. But and I don't know if this was, but I think both the protein that is made and that reverse transcribed one, both of those form clots. Both of those forms clots. But the other thing is that it's cancer is just absolutely through the roof, and there's probably 15 different mechanisms by which it does that. So one of them being destroying the immune system, which actually surveils your body and kills cancerous cells. So, and the other thing is, and this is what I'm trying to tell people, this is destroying the immune system. So many people have had their immune system destroyed that they are just going to be breeding grounds for whatever pathogen comes along. And we're going to be exposed to it because, they're everywhere, right? And so they're going to be like these virus and bacteria factories, where when you have a good functioning immune system, even if you are contagious, you're killing, I'd say like 99.9% of whatever, was in you. They're going to be spewing out a ton of it. And so that means all the rest of us have to be absolutely on our P's and Q's about preventing transmission of these things. And so a lot of like the things that I'm sharing is, how to use a neti pot and put some iodine in there to kill what's, in your nose or whatever. So that like when you're out in public, when you come home, you can do hygiene things to protect your health. And because they just want you to believe it's always a drug or a medication is the only way, or something like the big I word or which is broadly antiviral, broadly. And they, they're having to take down, there's that, those articles on how they're having to take down their things saying, don't use it doesn't work.
Right.
But broadly antiviral, broadly antibacterial, broadly, and it's anti-malarial and it's antimicrobial and it's anti-cancer. So, there's data on all of those peer-reviewed scientific literature. So, like, don't you think all of us should have that in our medicine cabinet? Like one of the safest medications in the history of the world?
I haven't checked in a while, but it was hard trying to even get your hands on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, a year or so ago.
The government, if you tried to get it from India, was interdicting it and taking it, not giving you your money back. And, so, I mean, and you still can't get it. That's the thing. Such a safe, should be over the counter. But you still can't get it. And so what does that tell you? They want you defenseless for what comes next.
Right.
I mean, I'm starting to believe based on especially what they're doing in the sky. I mean, I'm down in Georgia. So y'all know these cars starting to look green with all this pollen that's everywhere. I'm starting to believe that the pollen is probably actually helping because whatever coming in the sky, it's kind of blocking certain stuff from coming down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it could be hurting also because it probably binds with the pollen. Then you bring.
Well, I was going to say it's probably binding to the pollen.
It's crazy. But
well, it's like how can they do that for this long and like people don't have mainstream reports on it. I'm like, how can they just do that, and nobody says anything, like we all just pretend it isn't happening.
We have conversations like this and I want to let you know too, because I don't want to end up getting off and not saying this to you. Anything you want to promote as far as your website, any products, anything like that, you are more than welcome to come on this platform whenever you want, because our listeners need to hear too, because we know who you are.
Right, but you put it on Facebook, on YouTube, right?
We put it everywhere because we stream everywhere, but I'm just saying you have an open platform to kind of come on whenever you want to, because we know that they talked about the disinformation 12. You 13 because they blocking you too. You out
right.
there.
Well, I was just a little bit after them because they were blocking me before I could even get social media posts. Yeah. So
Yeah, I was about to ask. I know I did ask for your website, and thank you for posting that. Can we find your supplements, your more information on what you're talking about on your website? So thank you for providing that.
Yeah, on the Vita, like, yeah, on the other side of the paywall, you can follow me. I post most of my science on X. I'm Dr. C Parks 1, Dr. C Parks 1 on X, whatever, Twitter, whatever it is. And then I'm Epigenetic Healing on Instagram. And I actually have quite a few videos on Instagram. I do on less controversial health topics, but very important ones, ones that won't get me banned most of the time. So, and I do post some information about my supplement, and the supplement I sell is it's almost, like a God thing, that it's really anti-inflammatory. And the supplement, it has a company. I'm a consultant, but the science of it is it activates your body's own pathways. So we're not just adding something to the body. We're actually activating through a blend of herbs, your body's own pathway to protect, heal itself, and reduce inflammation. And then the second one is rejuvenating your mitochondria, which make your energy. And what was made from the jab actually destroys your mitochondria, destroys your ability to produce energy, because that's why you end up so tired. So, this is so needed, and I found out about it like right as it was starting to happen. So it was like kind of weird and so I feel like I need to tell people this is the real thing, because people can't understand there's so much out there, what's worth putting my time and effort in. And I've never really wanted to sell anything, but I was like, oh my God, this is like the most powerful thing out there. And I am, I'm working with Brother Riza to help him develop his supplement, because based on the science, because I can see where it can do the same thing as this, but it'll, and then hopefully we'll be able to test it to see that it's activating those genes. We already know that many of the herbs that he has in his activate those genes. So activating the body's own natural pathways is something I'm super passionate about, not just dumping a bunch of shit in there.
Yeah. No. Again, thank you for providing that. Like I'm on your website right now, and I want to tell the people that's watching, like, good information. I'm going to be checking it out myself.
Yeah. I know. And it's like, you can't even say the name, but then I wanted parents and stuff to know, so I'm going to do a lot of interviews, and a lot of the obviously the people that are interviewing me are on alternative websites, because otherwise we couldn't talk about anything.
All right. Yeah. Not like they're going to invite you on The View.
Yeah. But the one thing about Unplug for Iman is we appreciate the fact that you're sharing this information. I think, a lot that we've talked about even tonight is just, listen, go to the website. I'm telling you, I'm on it right now.
Yeah, it's, I spent 2 years, all of that content was developed by me. And I will say the content it's like $12.95. I tried to make it dirt cheap just to pay my bills, which is not even yet, right? It's not even paying my bills yet. There's super, easy videos, like little 5-minute videos on how to detox, and just doing it step by step by step. So, and the content is worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but I wanted to get it to people. I didn't want to make it, anything that would prevent people from accessing that content. So I've been developing it for 2 years, night and day, to get the stuff that people need, because, when you talk to people, their health is failing.
And it's invaluable information, trust me. And there are a lot of people that are out here with advertisement on YouTube and all the other platforms, and it's just, weight loss, this, do this, and do that.
They're just trying to make a buck.
Ozempic.
Ozempic. Yeah. Oh my God.
And that, and you can do this on your own. At the end of the day,
frozen again.
When we reflect on the past 4 years, this is good. Of course.
Well, and the thing is,
of course,
with the content on the website, like I do have a page that's specific for African American predispositions. And the point was to start where I'm at. And there is a ton of information already there. But I want to continue to provide information, because what people don't have is knowing what's the difference between this kind of a supplement and that kind of supplement? What is hyperbaric treatment? What is ozone treatment? What is homeopathy? Like, I don't understand all these different things. Which one is for me when? And so to break that down in kind of layman's terms so that people can kind of get a handle on what is the next step in my healing journey? Is this an appropriate treatment for me? If it is, what do I need to look for to make sure I'm not getting scammed?
Yes.
And everybody, they know what I did over the summer. I did my first ever parasite cleanse, and that changed a lot for me. But I said the next thing I want to do is a heavy metal detox, and then do that like to cleanse my blood also. But I know it's a process. It's not something that you can't just do. You got to do it in steps, and you got to be patient. And the main thing is you got to watch what you eat, because that's the final step. Because they provide you with these things that we should not be consuming. We should not be consuming a lot of this stuff, and it's dangerous. But it's
well,
it's hard for people though.
the hard part about that is in everything. And
Yeah.
then when you have people who can't really afford to, or don't have access to a farmer's market or something like that, I mean, they got to eat what's available to them.
What's
And
available.
the sad
Or
part about
even when you go out, like I'm about to do a post probably tomorrow on Atlantic salmon. So you think Atlantic salmon's from the Atlantic? No, Atlantic salmon's farmed in a pit with a bunch of other salmon, fed salmon chow. It's gray.
Yeah.
It's highly inflammatory. And so you can't go out and get salmon and get any kind of, they're not going to sell Alaskan salmon or, from, decent waters or whatever. That stuff is all farmed. And I think it's highly toxic. I would rather have a steak, which is just moderately toxic, than the highly toxic Atlantic salmon. And people don't realize, because they give it the name Atlantic salmon to fool you into thinking that it came out of the Atlantic Ocean. Because there is no, I looked it up, there is no fishing allowed. They cannot catch Atlantic salmon. It's against the law.
Wow.
So any Atlantic salmon you get is grown in a ditch.
Okay, so like, yes, first of all, it tastes different. Personally, I know, like, I like to do wild caught seafoods. The taste is different. What has gotten to me in the recent years is how certain stores will sell out on a sale of shrimp and this and that, and you just turn it over and you read the label. At the very bottom, it says farm raised. I'm paying this much money for farm raised. You're feeding it the equivalent of corn or whatever. It's farm raised.
Well, and the other thing is, like, and this is something I want to look into more, but my hunch is that I was doing a court case on something totally unrelated. But one of the articles had to do with fish and about bacterial contamination in fish. And when they're grown in like these farm raised conditions, it's like, think of like carp or whatever. It gets dirty and bacteria filled, and the bacteria actually get into the skin and the flesh of the fish. And they cause it to make all of these inflammatory, like histamine and putrescine, which is found on dead bodies, and like all of these really nasty chemicals that are very inflammatory and kind of allergy causing, that then you're eating because it's in the flesh of the fish, because they're grown like in a pit with a whole bunch of other fish. And so like it just grosses me out.
I've had this conversation with friends. You're going to spend an extra $10 on this, because this is on sale. Forget the sale. What about what I'm putting in my body? I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, or just eat less, so that, when you're eating the meat, I mean, people used to make like, when you have Ethiopian food, they make like a stew or a sauce with a little bit of meat that goes a long way. And then they just keep adding eggs to it, like a boiled egg or whatever to get your protein or whatever. So, and even expensive eggs are not that expensive relative to other types of meat. So, I mean, instead of, having to have a big hunk of meat at each meal, there are other ways to handle that.
But then you got, okay, well, I'm gonna eat a salad. Well, if you're not making your own salad and you're not getting your lettuce from a farmer's market, well, now they're starting to put in the lettuce. They put not even herbicides. they putting vaccines.
Yeah,
in
the
the
mRNA is, I mean, we don't know, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I don't know
Jay,
that they
Jay,
can
it's old.
really do
Jay,
an
this-
effective
this is
job
old.
of that, but like, the thing is, you know, wait, they don't need to put it in the lettuce because even what they were giving to us is passive. It's getting to everybody in lower amounts, but it's going to be in your gut. It's getting in your bacteria. It's shedding. I mean, she's like, don't tell me.
I've never heard that they're putting other stuff aside.
Yes. Yes.
I hear pesticides.
Nah.
What's going on?
This old news.
Well, okay, so the thing is that when they grew the jabs in, like, for the MMR in animal cells, they were contaminated with animal viruses. So Americans specifically are inundated with a whole bunch of animal viruses and human retroviruses from the types of cells that they use to grow them in. And that is one of the reasons why we did so poorly with this infection that ran rapid, because it activated all of those viruses that were in our bodies. And they knew that. They knew that like 10% of the population would do really poorly because it was reactivating these viruses that they got from the jabs that were grown in animal cells that had animal viruses in them. Yeah, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So now they're like, maybe we can grow them in plants, you know, because like it's not going to get taken up into some plant virus and then spread and then get into a bacteria and then come back and get you. Like, we are creating like biblical plague conditions. We are when you dump all this genetic information, like, I'm not really worried about it being a plant that somebody's going to eat it and actually have an immune response or whatever. I'm worried that they're so stupid that they're dumping this into our livestock. You know, they want all the livestock to be mRNA ones. And they're just dumping tons of genetic information into us, into the animals, and now they want it in the plants. It's genetic information recombines. That's what it does. These viruses like HIV and Ebola, they didn't come because it's always some black person that was beating in the head of a monkey and ate the monkey brains, and that's why we have Ebola, right? No. It's because they grew the polio jab in monkey kidney cells. And monkeys had simian immunodeficiency virus, SIV, and it recombined with other genetic information to make what we know as HIV. And then they injected it as a jab, the polio one, into millions of Africans. And in some of them, it replicated. Right. And so probably the same for Ebola. We know RSV, which is lethal in infants under 6 months, did the same thing. So we know that, I mean, yeah, it's just like this dystopian thing. And like, you know, I don't have a child that's injured from that, you know, but when you follow the science, it just it's super interesting, but it's like you're like, you can't be more horrified. And every time you look, you find something that's even more horrifying. And the fact that they have the hubris to dump all of this genetic information out into us, it's like the monkeypox. So that was the what vaccine was that? The smallpox vaccine? That was the smallpox one. Anyway, they put that. The one that they were using, they used, if you heard of hand, foot, and mouth.
Yes.
They put that, that was the backbone for the genetic information they were using. So they said a side effect of getting it might be getting hand, foot, and mouth. And I'm like, it's a live virus. So you're putting it into people who, you know, the people who are getting monkeypox are probably people who, you know, are very promiscuous. So you're putting it into people who likely have an immunodeficiency, right? And they have several other viruses, and they're very promiscuous. So they have a ton of viruses, and now you're putting more genetic information and a live virus. It can recombine and form something new and then spread in these promiscuous people among people, right? Like, are you trying to get, you know, create something new?
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's all green lit by our government, and it's all green lit by our government.
And Dr. Parks,
I can't stop.
I'm sitting over here. I am in just.
I know. I see your face.
Just
like, I did not know.
Think of the movie Resident Evil. You remember what that mad scientist doctor was like? Oh, we're gonna recombine this gene, this genetic code with this T cell, and
it's like the worst dystopian movie you've ever seen. And I'm like, this is but it's real. It's like really happening. And yeah, and it's killing people. You know, that's the thing.
Which is the end goal.
Yeah, you might
I
have
can
to bleep that
I
word.
can only like imagine, you know, like we had conversations about that on this podcast about, let's fast forward 10 years from now after this type of science. I can only imagine right now.
And that's why I launched my website. You know, I'm not trying to get the bag. I'm not getting it. And hopefully I will to be able to pay the bills. But it's because I cannot watch. I mean, the people I know are seizing and have cancer. And I mean, it's just like, it just rips your heart out. I testify in court cases where parents are arguing about like which, giving it to their children. One family he didn't bother to wait for the court order and went and got it for his son. He ended up in the emergency room with heart pains, and then he wanted to get him the second one. I'm like, well, what are we doing here? So it's so overwhelming. And that's what my current thing is, to let people to understand that how much genetic information is being dumped in the system and what is going to happen, especially in the light of how immunocompromised. And even those of us who are not are going to be faced with the onslaught of the aftermath of this, which is, the production of new viruses, recombinations, and people with lower immunity. So it's going to be spread. And so your health absolutely has to be your top priority. Like, we need to detox. We need to be as healthy as we can now, because we are going to be faced with it. Like, there's just, in Michigan, it has just been circulating nonstop. And I've probably gotten something like 4 times now. Because I'm so healthy, it's been like a day and a half. I'm nebulizing. I'm doing everything to help my body clear it. But like, the stuff has just been going around. And it's like, what is all of this?
What's nebulizing? If you don't mind me asking.
It's like I've got one right here. You put like a little bit of saline with either a couple drops of either silver, hydrogen peroxide, or iodine, and it makes a mist. Like, think about a kid when they have a cold, and basically you just put the little mask on, inhale the mist, and that helps to decongest you, and moisten your mucous membranes. But if you put a little bit of something that's an antimicrobial, it's also going to kill some of the virus. And that's really, really important, because one, like, have you seen people still wearing masks?
Oh my God.
Yes.
And so they're usually trying to protect somebody else, right? They're feeling ill and they don't want to give it to anybody, but they're just rebreathing the same pathogens. If you don't want to spread it, one, take the I thing, broadly antiviral, antibacterial. You're going to reduce your transmission, or, or nebulize with a little bit of, hydrogen peroxide. And then behind the paywall, I have all that information, like the protocols on how to nebulize, videos to show you how to do it. And I started doing that because I was traveling so much, and I was advocating for it. So I was like, and I got sick. I'm like, I've got to travel. I've got to do this. I started, and it cut the amount of time you're sick, because it's destroying all the virus in your nose and throat. And so, and even down in your lungs. And so once you reduce the viral load, you give your body a chance to keep on top of it. And if you're exposed and you do it right away, it may not be able to even set up shop.
Yeah. Once again, I'm on your website.
And then, tell people to, if you go to my website, if there's a little place where you fill out for the newsletter, because we're going to be starting a detox protocol for the thing.
Mm-hmm. Tell them.
And so I'm just waiting till we have enough people signed up so that I can send the letter out for that and get a date for that. So I'm going to be launching that as well. And our website, if you want to actually join the website, it's like $12.95 a month. And it's going to be like so much information that you need to know. And there's like PDFs that you can download and take to the store, so you know which brands to buy that are healthy. A ton of information.
Thank you. And let me tell you, Dr. Parks, they're asking, what's the website on Facebook? So I'm going to send it real quick.
Well, you're not like, I tried to market on Facebook. I got like 1 like. I've got like 12,000 followers. So it's vi-ta.org. Can I share my screen? Is there a way to do that?
Can you? Is there a way? Fool?
I don't know. I sent you guys a QR code. And so I will also on epigenetic healing. And if you go to my Twitter, there's a QR code. They'll take you right to my page. And
Okay.
I'll put the QR code in my stories on Instagram right after I hop off of this as well. So that's, and I'll I don't know, can I put
Listen,
my handle for, is there a way to type something in?
If you go in
Put
the
it in there.
comments, if you go in the comments, you can.
I don't know how to do that.
Make food.
Oh, right
Can you
here.
put it,
Okay.
can you put it in a banner?
Oh, I can do that. Okay, so you already put my website, right?
Yeah, she got it. We got it.
Okay, so I'll just put my, did you put epigenetic healing in there? That's my, it says connect to comment. Where am I? Why can't I find a place to click for my comment? Oh, join the chat. I don't know. It's probably going to want me to log into YouTube or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So-
We got you. And to be honest
Okay.
with you, we honestly and truly thank you, because the knowledge that you have is unlimited. And being that it's not coming from us and it's coming from a very reliable source, it makes it better. And also to hear that you are one of those people that they really are censoring. You know, our platform is open, because I don't know if you saw it, but we just had someone on by the name of Constance Washington. They looking to steal her land in North Carolina. I'll send you the story. We interviewed her. I'll send you the link so you can watch the episode. And
Wow.
it's like we are lucky enough to have a platform where people can actually come and tell their stories.
Yeah.
And more people need that, because
Yes.
it's so much stuff going on out here that we don't even know. And we start talking about independent media. That's where we get the information from, because we definitely not depend on mainstream, because it's just not going to happen, because they spitting out bullshit that we really don't want to hear about. I could care less about what's right now. I care less about anything. I want to hear what's really going on.
Right. And the unfortunate part is, like, none of us have the time and, you know, ability to oh, I see Reese's on here. None of us have the time and ability to go to all of these different independent media, and, like, you know what I mean? We can't figure it out. That's one of the reasons I did my website, because, like, how often have you heard like something, you're like, oh, I need to find that video, and then you can never find it, and like whatever, and you know, you don't have the time to go rewatch it. I wanted a site where people could go back again and again and again to get the information and have it right there. And then, you know, a lot of the protocols, like wellness protocols for how to keep yourself healthy, do incorporate and have links to the supplement as well. You know, so yeah, and I see, yeah.
I think it's great. Thank you for not making it clickbait. I don't know if you're familiar with clickbait. I'm sure you are, where you can't go to anything else. It becomes the video and you have to watch it from the beginning to the end.
No, like
a lot of people that
I like that.
Exactly.
I want to kill. I wanted, like, I just, that drives me insane when they do that. Like, I just want to know your fifth point about whatever, you know. And you're like, yeah, I might actually buy your supplement if, like, you would, like, let me get to it. But like 45 minutes later,
watch this quick video.
I mean,
I want to be able, like, I have my right when I'm interested in something, Dr. Parks, to say, hey, I want to see this. But when it takes over the entire browser or whatever, my phone, PC or whatever, and I can't move or fast forward you, I feel like you're taking something away.
Oh, they are. And it's like such a waste of your time. No, this is something that I want you to be able to send this to people's doctors and to your cousin and to whoever needs the information. So that's why the pages on the childhood and the other are all free. I mean, that's a book's worth of information. There is a page for every one on the childhood schedule, every single one. Some of those are 10 pages long.
Before we
listen, I'm on your website, and I'm going to sit here and say it loud. Your website is not like that.
Yeah,
informational. You can go through everything yourself. You can listen to the videos. I am personally going to take time out.
Right. The videos are the place to start, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
Before we get out of here, I need you to revisit something from the first time you was on the show. Can you please tell people why they should not be using these hand sanitizers? Can you remind them about that conversation? So
well, one, I would say that when we were all supposed to be using them, a significant amount of them were not actually ethanol; they were actually methanol, and it's absorbed into your body. So any contaminants that are in this, and this stuff was coming from who knows where, China, like wherever. And so the sourcing of those is really, really sketchy, whether they're contaminated with other chemicals, because it's absorbed right into your body. It can actually make you drunk. Like I'm really super sensitive to alcohol. So yeah, it's super unhealthy, and it's going to kill your natural bacteria, and you want your good microbiome. And it's also going to really super dry out your skin, which makes it like more likely that your hands will crack, which makes it more likely that you're going to, get something in your, the cracks in your hands and, pick up some sort of pathogen or whatever. So yeah, I avoid that. Like I really avoid that, and there are some like, if you go to essential oils like thieves, clove oil and some of these other oils that are really, really antimicrobial. In fact, so many of them are. Tea tree oil is. So there are other ways. A lot of people make their own hand sanitizer, which is what I would do. Even if you were going to use some ethanol, you could use less of amount, mix it with aloe vera gel or something. But do something that where it's sourced from, a good reliable source, because if it's going into Walmart, it's coming from China. And it's absorbed right in through your skin.
I can't see, and I'm thankful for that, because see, I do Instacart a lot, and when me doing Instacart, when I get to the register, they're always doing this, and when I explain to them what I say, they look at me like, "What you just say?" Yeah, you got to be careful. You can't just do what everybody's doing. That doesn't work.
Dr. Parks, don't you feel that there's a little irony
in the fact that, like, with
about TikTok, when we're constantly importing
products? Yeah. Oh, I know, right?
Products from
exactly. Well,
I'm sorry.
There was a lot of people that were really concerned about that in the beginning. Like, how do we know that it's not coming over like the blankets that were laced with smallpox or whatever, right?
There you go.
Correct.
And people were concerned about that. But, the other thing is, like, so from my point of view as a scientist, one, what I would have done is I would have put a bunch of UV lights everywhere, especially in the bathrooms and over the keypad at the grocery store. So we are 6 feet apart, and everybody has to do this and everybody has to do that. But that keypad, everybody is signing and punching, and so
it will show you.
And so my theory is they wanted to give the appearance that you were doing something while making sure that it would be the least effective thing that you could ever do, so that it would spread, because that's what they wanted. They did not want to prevent the spread. And so they knew that those methods would not prevent spread. And they didn't want to give you anything that actually would, but they had to give you something that they could convince you was helping.
That's I think that's definitely
so evil.
Conversation
diabolical
within itself, because I have so many questions. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
But Doc, we thank you. We thank you for coming on. I'll definitely be in touch, like I always am, depending on the particular subject. Make sure you I want you to give RZA this message if he ain't already watching. If he ain't already watching, you remember me. I'm fool. We don't broke bread. Where have you been? Because we need to talk. You can tell RZA that too. He know we need to talk. He be back. If he come down to Atlanta, he better hit me up. My number ain't changed. Forget that. And I know he changed assistants, but we definitely need to talk. But we thank you, because the wealth of knowledge that you have is undeniable. And we thank you. Our viewership thanks you. Like we said, this platform is open to you whenever you want. It does not matter. We definitely will take any updates you have on the case and everything like that, because people need to know about this. And everybody, make sure you go check out her site, www.vi-ta.org.
And don't enter into Google. Like, you can either, go to one of my pages, get the QR code. If you enter it into like Google, it won't come up. You have to go to DuckDuckGo.
Don't worry about it. We'll put it on our website.
Yeah,
we got you.
We're gonna
Thank you, Dr. Parks.
Clip some of
This
this
was
off.
it was insightful. I appreciate it personally. I know we do on this platform, but I
Well,
just
thank
want to
you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, anytime. So once again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next Monday. Oh, and also I want to say this too before we leave. Dr. Parks, if you have anybody that has a wealth of knowledge like you that wants to come on this platform, just let me know. They're more than welcome. Because the person that we've been wanting also is Dr. Peter McCullough. We've been wanting to get him for a while because it's scary, the stuff he be talking about. I mean, you do too. But
right. Well, and I would say that actually Peter's a wonderful, generous man. He actually contributed to my website. And when you become a member of my website, we're going to start probably next month giving bi-monthly seminars by the top practitioners in the world on these topics. So that's what I have an alliance of practitioners where we meet and we discuss these things. So I'm not just pulling this from me. I'm pulling this from, the top gut health expert in the world, the top whoever health, so the people who are actually in the trenches working with the injured and figuring out what's going on. And I am in touch with other molecular biologists. So I'm in touch with the whole scientific community, and I try to find the very best people.
Check your private message.
Hold up.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She can read it too. It is what it is. But
this is great.
Yeah, we thank you. We'll definitely be in touch and have a great night. We're gonna let Jay do her. We have her segment. If you want to stay on, it's fine because you can listen to it too.
You can stay on too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll listen.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Jay, go ahead and
introduce your segment.
This is the segment because normally we would start with this, Dr. Park. We would start with this, and I did try earlier, but I think that we were more invested in what we all had going on. But whatever. But this is news nobody can use, and it's now a new segment called what Jay say?
Love it. I like it.
What Jay say? Yeah. So it was a few things going on in the media. We do like to talk about current events, right? And so today I was accosted by the news, that I'm working. I work from home, and then I tune into the news or whatever, and I see where Sean Diddy Combs' house is being raided. Felt like, honestly, because it was on so many different networks, I felt like, wait a minute, are we watching OJ again? It
did seem like that.
Covered. It was so covered. So, for those of you who don't know, P. Diddy, aka Sean Diddy Combs, his house was raided in LA and in Miami. But here's the kicker, and this is what kind of threw me off. And I was talking to Maine about it. I was like, this was by Homeland Security. Homeland Security. That's deep. That's real deep. And I wanted to find out. So it got me up from my work. Of course, I was not invested in work anymore once I seen this that came on. And I was like, Homeland Security, this is big. What did Diddy do? What did Diddy do?
While she's talking, Jermaine, can you kind of flash your shirt a little bit that will kind of explain a little bit.
Yeah,
that shirt
different.
No.
I got mine.
No. His shirt is part of the reason why Puffy was raided. But keep going on with the story.
Okay. Anywho, let me tell you, I was so invested in it. I said, okay, I got to prepare for the show tonight. And this is news nobody really can use. And now I have this segment. I need to know what's going on because I'm interested. And so, as luck would have it, seeing as how I'm a little savvy on the internet, started looking at a lot of people went live on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on X. People were live, but they were showing the helicopters that was flying over his house. Needless to say, you had other people who were invested in flight tracking. Y'all know what flight tracking is? Child, let me tell you, you get a jet, there is a social media to track your jet. Just like they do Elon Musk, they do it with the White House, any jet that's in the air, because technically that's like public information from the towers or whatever. They were tracking Diddy's normal jet. Not only were they tracking his jet, they also found discrepancy on Jay-Z's jet. Now I
was about to say, let me say this. I'm glad you just said that. I was just about to say, Puffy's first, Jay-Z's next. But keep going on with the story. Is
that irony? Didn't I add a little irony to that? Because that was the whole thing.
It's old news.
Yo, well, I mean, to you, but to the average person who's first of all, to the average person who doesn't know that you can go and track, there is a jet tracking or airplane tracking, whatever media, and you can see where people going. I mean, that's another level of being in someone's business. It just is. But Elon Musk there was a guy that went viral, for doing Elon Musk, and he created the app, and so you can do it with any jet. And so let me tell y'all, let me get to the point. When the feds came in to raid his house in LA and Miami at the same time, his children, Rodney and King, was there. They took them into custody, not arrested them. I don't want to spread bad news. It was temporary, get them away so they can go through his house. Now, for those of you who don't know, Diddy, Lord Diddy has had some issues these past few months. And I want to say it started back in 2023, November, December. We wasn't even on then, and I wish I could have gave y'all this a little bit of information. But Diddy they've been on him. Needless to say, you have someone like 50 Cent who's making light of it and posting on IG.
I want to give a huge salute to Cassie and rest in peace, Kim Porter. Because without Kim Porter, this don't happen. So thank you, Kim Porter. I appreciate it.
Dr. Christina, you sitting here, I know in your mind, you like, man, I should have took that out.
You should have took it out, Doctor. You should have took it out because it's coming.
You got that look on your face like, damn.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm thinking. We might as well have started a conversation about Q here.
You better stay for it, girl.
If you want to go, you can go.
I'm gonna go. I might keep watching, but
Thank you. It's all good. We love you.
We'll talk to you later.
So much. We do love you. Thank you, Dr. Parks. You don't need to stay for this shenanigans at this point.
She had that look on her face like, help me.
Let me tell y'all why this is even funnier to me.
Why?
Julian sent me a message earlier, right before the show, about Diddy's house getting raided or whatever. And my response was, I already know, and frankly, I don't care. I had just told him this because
this ain't news nobody can use.
No. But he went into like another aspect of it. But I said, even with that, we on the same page.
I just have a couple more points.
Go ahead.
I have a couple of more points and I will digress because I have other news, but just couple other things that I don't want it to be a long conversation, but that was funny with Dr. Parks. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Parks. If you're watching, we so appreciate it. But girl, you shouldn't have been hanging out for this news. You cannot use. You just can't use it. It's not important. So Diddy, let's get back to Diddy. Did y'all know Diddy had 4 lawsuits? Technically 5 is coming up. In the state of New York. New York has this whole survivor's bill where there is no real
natural limitation.
Thank you, statute of limitation on what you can go to the courts and bring out a whole thing. Boy, you laughing, I know you know about it. It's been 5 people. 4 people technically. There's another one coming that a lot of people don't know about, but the last one was a dude.
I was about to say the dude is coming. That it was just a matter of time for the dude. Yeah, we know. Yeah,
the dude don't change. Let me tell you. Hold on. I took specific notes on this one. With the guy, don't get me wrong. Allegedly, all of the lawsuits are the same thing: sexual assault, sex trafficking. But with this one is just a little bit different. His name is Rodney Lil Rod Jones. He was a producer. He worked in the house with him, lived in the house with him, and worked with him for a number of years. He has a $30 million lawsuit for sexual assault, sex trafficking, and get this one, illicit criminal enterprise. What does that mean? Jermaine, what does that mean?
Illicit
criminal enterprise.
I don't know. Sound like some mob shit.
That means that means that particular business has been doing some shady things for years, and you've been listening people into that. Moreover, the dude has some video and all that. Let me tell y'all, Diddy, we need to raise him up in prayer, because when this comes out, and it's going to be videos and all, this guy says he has hours and hours and hours of video on his phone. Where they do that? With that kind of money?
You just said he needs prayer. Did you?
Yeah, let's lift him up in prayer.
Yeah, but did you forget that he has Mr. Power Bottom himself, TD Jakes, to pray for him? He's good. He's fine.
Oh my, y'all killing him. Y'all killing him. Y'all killing him.
It's not me, man. It's fool. It's not me.
Y'all killing him.
I wasn't going to bring up the minister. I wasn't even going to do that, because you know me.
His house will get raided next. Don't worry about it. It's coming.
Well, I don't know, but all I know
allegedly.
is allegedly, when Homeland Security gets involved, it's a different thing. Let me digress. I'm going to move on from Diddy. I just want to say this. For those of you who are fans of Diddy, I'm not kicking shit on Diddy's name. I would never do that. Ever. He's brought out and had on his label some of my favorites or whatever. I'm just saying, let's keep him lifted, because what's going on right now is just,
he been getting lifted. That's the problem.
Your words, not mine. I digress. Let me digress. So I have a couple other things. It's going to be real quick. Candace Owens, Jermaine's favorite. Jermaine's favorite. She has been dismissed from the Daily Wire. And this is what I'd like to report. As it would happen, she got into a tizzy with the Daily Wire, allegedly, and she left, allegedly, because she got into a thing with, I don't know if the viewers, if you guys are into, if you know who Ben Shapiro is, but he is, you know who that is, Fo?
Of course.
You do? Mm-hmm.
But she wanted to leave anyway, so it didn't matter.
Yo, let me tell you this. But he accused her of one of the things that I think is one of his, set it off if you're going to be anti-Semitic. And when I tell you that at one point in his life and his career and this business, the Daily Wire itself, they was into some Candace Owens because of what she was bringing to the table. Lord knows when the tables turn, because he blamed her of that, having anti-Semitic views and saying it and posting it or whatever. I don't want to get into it. We'll get into it maybe next week, Monday, for those of you who really want to talk about it. But yeah, she went on to the Breakfast Club, because you know what happens. You go to the Breakfast Club, you got us, you know, we're always going to be there for you as the people. And she went on there and she talked about it, and she actually said that she left. It wasn't her getting fired. Mm-hmm. My research said opposite, that she was dismissed, not fired, not whatever. She was dismissed. So maybe that's true. Who knows?
Jermaine know how I feel about her. Fuck her.
Hey,
you don't like Candace?
Y'all gonna get off my girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I have no interest.
I told you. Yeah. I digress. Last but not least, this is the last thing, because we're going to let y'all go. We're so happy that you guys stayed up with us this late just so I can get this tea in. Actually, let's call it coffee. Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, they're going to have an album coming out later this year. Speculation, and this is total speculation, because I y'all believe, let me tell y'all, this is a real show. So I run these things by my counterpart, Jermaine in particular. And I said, you know, the first album with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg was called Doggy Style. They went on to Jimmy Kimmel, this is no cap, Please no cap, no diddy. Y'all know that's a new one. Instead of saying no cap, you say no diddy. Talk about that later. It's supposed to be called from doggy style to missionary. I'm sorry. Jermaine said, yo, it was a joke. They were on Jimmy Kimmel live and they were
Ain't
saying
no way. If that album is called Missionary, I will not be listening to it.
You listen to Doggy Style.
Because Doggy Style is a play off of his name because he's Snoop Dogg. Missionary ain't got nothing to do with Snoop Dogg or Snoop Doggy Dogg. I'm good.
Good people, this is total speculation. This is what we're saying. Y'all go to YouTube, look up Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel had Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and 50 Cent on the same show. It was a big joke. It could be a joke. I'm not spreading that, but that's what they call it.
I don't think with Dre's genius, he would come out with an album called
Missionary.
I doubt it.
I thought it was kind of unique. Jermaine was shaking his head at me.
What I will tell you, since if you don't know about this, is that Marsha Ambrosius has a project with Dr. Dre that's ready to come out. If you didn't know about that.
Really?
Yes. So look it up. Found out about it today. Matter of fact, since you so into music, have you ever watched any of the episodes with Tank and Jay Valentine, their podcast?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
that is one of our favorite shows in our book club. And yes, honey, I have.
You might want to watch it. You're gonna love the episode with Marsha Ambrosius. I'm serious. You're gonna love it.
I've seen her live at BB King's in New York City at least 4 times. And when she does the Michael Jackson song that, she's singing the what's the song?
Butterfly.
I'm trying to think of this. Yeah, that one.
I just
She's singing on stage. It's so beautiful.
I just saw the clip of her and Tank when she said, "All you got to do is say yes." That song, she really was
yes,
orgasm.
Yeah, bro, you gotta watch the entire. That was one of the better episodes because Marsha Ambrosius. When you watch these people who are really their life is the art, it's nice to watch because they serious about that shit. So definitely check it out. But Jay done disappeared. She done vanished. I don't want to end the show without her face. Nigga, we had Jake take her glasses off. That shit was funny as hell. What the fuck? Yeah. Old news. Well, something must have happened. For everybody out there, we appreciate the love. We definitely appreciate the support. Y'all can see we back on it right now. So Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you set your calendar, your alarms, and everything like that, so you can tune in, spread the word. We're doing our best to grow. We always ask for people to like, share, and subscribe if you're watching. Make sure you go do the same thing on TikTok. Unplugged, free your mind. Matter of fact, be on the safe side. Make sure on TikTok you do unplugged, free your mind, and also unplugged FYM. It's a big difference in numbers. So when they delete our page, we good. We got our backup. We already prepared. We playing offense. We ain't playing defense. So we'll see y'all next week. With any luck, we'll have another guest, like another powerful guest like we had tonight. We are so thankful that she was able to jump on and give out this information. My man Heath put it out there saying that it was important information. That's my man I like to work with. Like a big brother, cool as hell. So we will see y'all next week and appreciate y'all for tuning in.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you.